Evercore Heroes has just had its open playtest, and after 6.5 hours of constant play, I am here to give you my first opinions tier list on where I think each of our heroes has landed. What criteria am I judging our heroes on? First, how well does the hero perform in their given role? Second, we're going to look at how this hero performs in other roles. What kind of extra oomph does it bring to the table? And then finally is the compatibility score, or in what set of team compositions do I think this character would work in? So that's what we're judging on. What do the tiers mean? This will get more in depth as we go, but basically the game is balanced around A tier. And A, in my opinion, means something is balanced. Anything above A is going to be above the point of balance, and anything below A is going to be below the point of balance. A healthy game should have a nice bell curve forming around the A tier, because you do want characters that are stronger and you do want characters that are weaker. That's what makes games interesting. So what is balanced? My best example of a well-balanced character is going to be Cinder. Cinder is the pyromancer that can deal some pretty consistent damage. But outside of a pretty solid single target rotation and some good area of effect damage, Cinder does not do much outside of their given role. Cinder's specialization into one specific idea is what makes them the perfect A-tier character. It's not bad to be balanced. Now, Biko is another character that I would consider to be well balanced. Biko does a great job in the healing role, and if you buy a certain special item, you can even turn some of that healing into damage. The biggest strength of Biko is being able to cleanse CC or stun a singular target, which is great for nullifying some key mechanics. But the scope of this stun is too small for me to say that it's stronger than the point of balance, which leads us to calling Biko balanced in the A tier. Bouncing around, we have Max, and Max is definitely the tank I saw the most while I was playing, and he definitely seems like a good time. However, the abilities that Max has on paper just don't seem to do as much with the tanks that I found more success with. Max's crowd control is limited, but Max does have several ways to shed armor. So this means in certain team compositions, I do think that Max is going to shine. Heroes that can thrive in certain team comps or need to have a team composition built around them is my example of a B tier character. Now, Blink is a damage character that can set up any team for success. The displacement and crowd control that Blink gives is paired with some pretty solid area of effect and single target damage. I genuinely think that Blink could hop onto any team composition and make it better and thrive in that environment. And that is the criteria for a very strong character, and this is our first entrance into the S tier. Now, Zari specializes in single target damage. And through proper use of this passive, you can also protect your team with a bonus blinding effect on your third ability. I do think with more testing and as we see more of Zari, we might see Zari either move up or down a tier depending on how this coordinated play goes, but for right now I'm going to leave them in A. Finn is the dream tank. With 2 taunts and an AoE stun, the amount of control that Finn brings is pretty nuts. Now, this control is great for setting up your teammates for their abilities to deal more damage. And on top of this, Finn can do a bit of damage on his own right. And his ultimate is, definitely on the stronger side. But overall, I think that Finn having all of this control to put him on the stronger side is exactly what we need. We need someone to fill out our stronger than balanced category without being, oh my god, broken. Now, Grace is a machine, and that is an intended pun. Grace is probably the best pure damage hero I ran into during my time, dealing major area of effect damage and only falling off a little bit with single target. Now, where Grace does pop off is with this passive. When you're using this passive properly, it can be used to lash out a 1-second stun to every creature that gets hit by an ability. And Grace can hit a lot of people with one ability. Overall, since the crowd control is not as on demand as Blink's crowd control, I'm not able to put them in S tier, but Grace is a really solid A+ choice. Now, Kane is a character that very much interests me. There's a lot of focus within the descriptions of these abilities that focuses on auto attack canceling. Honestly, I feel like over time we're going to see Kane placed higher and higher on this list as we learn this hero better. But unfortunately, I only got 2 matches that I tried as Kane during the playtest, and both times I had issues remaining connected to the server, so I don't have enough data to even give an opinion right now. So I'm just gonna put them in this section over here. Lotus is the battle healer of the group. You wanna get in there and mix it up while you're also healing your allies. This juggling of buffs and heals while trying to maximize your damage output has proven to be a very effective and fun way to pass time. You combine this with a powerful utility ultimate that blocks stun effects, and you have yourself a pretty well-balanced character. I imagine once we see more of Lotus and optimize our builds better, Lotus might move up a tier, but overall I don't have the data to support this yet. Now, Aurea is probably the character that I have the most regrets about. I was not able to give much attention to this character throughout the entire playtest, and even weirder, I did not see very many Aurea across any of my matches. But honestly, the idea of being this large area of effect focused artillery fighter definitely piques my interest. But for now, I have to leave Aurea in this undecided bin. And right to join Aurea is Remy, the only healer that I was not able to give a run at during my playtime. The Remys I did come across along my team seem to struggle up with the damage output, and honestly, as I've read through the abilities more, I do feel like Remy is going to be that hero that we need to spend more time learning, and is going to be harder to play out of the gate, but once we have some more data, we're probably going to be able to place him fairly accurately. Now, Riva is not your traditional tank. I feel like Riva is a little bit more on the squishy side, and this is from when I was playing Riva and when I was healing Riva. I do feel like if you built a team composition around a Riva, we would be able to see them shine, especially because we have this ultimate that lets you increase the amount of damage that enemies are taking. So since we have to build a team composition around Riva, that's going to put her in B tier. Now, Shade is a very fun hero. This spam and spend mechanic works really well, and it pairs well with this frantic movement style of play that the game goes for. Overall, Shade is a really strong pick for those of you that want good single target damage, and that ultimate does offer some okay control, and it always feels pretty good to use, but the cooldown's a little long. I feel that across all of this, Shade is pretty well balanced, doing some pretty good damage, but ultimately I don't see them keeping up across the match with the higher tiered picks. Skye is probably the most flexible hero in the game. You have two unique stances that allow you to adapt your spells to different challenges. Water stance being more control and protection oriented, and lightning allowing you to start dealing some serious damage. Skye's definitely that Swiss Army knife of the heroes. And even though my heart of hearts is telling me to place her higher, Skye is going to remain in A tier until I can get some more games in to see how well that damage can be pushed, but that utility feels amazing. Now, Citian was the tank that I played with the most. I saw a lot of it across my games. This mage tank style of play is very interesting to me, where you don't necessarily want to face tank everything yourself, and you want to rely on your many different forms of crowd control and damage reduction to keep everything at a minimum. But I do believe we could see them either shine or suffer once we start moving into higher difficulties, but for now, I definitely feel good with where Citian stands and that giant shield just being around. Cyrus is arguably one of the coolest heroes I played. The ability to constantly choose whether you want to deal some damage or heal your allies allows for really good moments for you to shine. However, with no crowd control in the kit, Cyrus does seem to fall behind the other healers for me. I do believe at higher levels of play we'll probably see a lot of Cyrus because healers will likely need to do less surprise healing when people are not getting hit by the mechanics. With that right team composition, Cyrus will shine, making him another example of a B tier. And that is my opinion of where all of the heroes in Evercore Heroes sit. You feel free in the comments to tell me why I just butchered your favorite hero. I would honestly love to open a dialogue. The best way to make accurate tier lists is to take a bunch of feedback from a bunch of different places and then use that the next time I make a version of this. Now, if you want to hear about my first impressions of Evercore Heroes, click that video on your screen now and it'll take you to that video. Anyway, it's time to get back at it. You have a fantastic day, and I'll see you soon.